Welcome along to part 2 of our video series where we are creating ourselves an advanced maze game in GameMaker Studio. In the first part of this video series we brought in all the sprites that we're going to use for this game and we converted those into objects. We also brought in a range of sounds that we were going to use and a few backgrounds for each of the different levels. We also designed our rooms, or the different levels we will be creating today. So we did start fairly simple with level 1 looking something like that, where our little man had to collect a few diamonds, run to the finish line, and that would take him through to the next level. And you can see by the time we get to the last level, which is level 4, it becomes quite complex, where we have got a lot of different things going on. So what we're going to do in this video today is program our game to make sure that everything's working. We're going to begin today by opening up our objects folder, and we're going to start with the very first level in our game, or the very first room, which is actually the splash screen. What we want to do is code this play button. Okay, we want it so when our player clicks on that button it takes them through to level 1 and they can begin their game. So to program that you're going to need to open up Object Play from your objects folder. So double click on it and that will bring up its properties box. From here you just need to add in a single event, and that event is going to be a mouse event, and I want it to be the left button. So when you press the left button on the play button, the action that we want to happen is in our main 1 tab, and it's the little arrow pointing to the right. It's the go to next room action. That's simply going to take our player to the next room when they click the left mouse button on the play button. Okay, so that will have our splash screen working. In the next level, we've got a few things that we want to do here. We want to make our little man move. We want him to collect the diamonds, and we want him to go to the next level when he hits the finish line. So let's start programming that up. So we'll open up our object man first of all, and we'll get him moving. The first event that we're going to add in is a keyboard event, and it's going to be for the left arrow key. So when we press the left arrow key, we want our little man to perform an action. There's 2 things we want him to do. In the control tab, first of all, you need to check that he's inside the 32 by 32 grid. So make sure you write 32 by 32 and click OK. Once he's in the grid, hit that bunch of red arrows there. And we're going to move him to the left only and at a speed of 4. Click OK. Now what we're going to do next is add another event. It's a keyboard event again, this time the right key, and you're going to do the same thing. In the control tab, check the 32 by 32 grid, and then make him move by hitting those red arrows there. Make him move to the right at a speed of 4. Okay. Don't use any other speed other than 4, otherwise this isn't going to work properly. He won't move smoothly through his grid, so make sure you are using speed 4. The next event is going to be for the up arrow key, and I'm just going to do the same again. In your control tab, check the grid. In your move tab, move him up at speed 4. The next one is the down key event. So when we press the down arrow, we will check the grid is 32 by 32, and in the move tab we're going to move that little fella down at a speed of 4. So that's got him moving in all 4 directions. The other thing you need to add in with the keyboard event is the no key event. So when you're pressing no key at all, what do you want to happen? Basically you want him to stop. So check the grid first of all, like we always do, and then just tell him to stop by hitting that red square in the middle of the arrows there. Leave the speed set to 0 so he doesn't go anywhere, and click OK. So that should have our arrow keys working fine. The other thing we want to get going in this one is when the man has a collision with the wall. So this grey wall, when he collides with it, we want him to stop moving so he doesn't run straight through it. So I want you to add in a collision event, and that's going to be with the wall. So when the man hits the wall, we're going to check the grid again first of all to make it 32 by 32, and you just tell him to stop moving again. So hit that red square, 0 for your speed, click OK. So that there is the code for making him stop moving when he hits the wall. Okay, let's press the green play button and just test how our code's going at the moment. So what we're looking for on the splash screen is the play button. We need that to take us into the next level or into the first level of our game. Then once we're in that first level, we want to see our little player moving around and not running through the walls. Okay. Because it's a fairly big game, it might take GameMaker about 30 seconds or so just to compile it. So just sit tight, it shouldn't take too much longer. Probably won't do too much testing in this video because it is taking a long time. You can test this on your computer though a lot more just to make sure everything's working fine. Here we go. Okay, so our game loads up and we press the play button and it takes us to the first level. If I press my arrow keys now, it looks like he's moving in all directions just fine. If I run into the wall, he stops moving, which is good. That's what we wanted. Okay, he's not collecting the diamonds yet because we haven't programmed that, but he is moving like we wanted him to, and he's not running through the walls. So we're off to a good start. So the next thing we might do while we're still on the man here is do the collision event with the finish line. So we're going to add in an event. So when our little man has a collision with the finish line, the actions we want to take place, well, we've got a few here. The first action we want to occur that when we hit this finish line is we want a sound to play. So a happy little sound to show that we've actually achieved something. So in your main 1 tab, hit this little grey speaker here, just right click on it, and the sound you want to play when you hit the finish line will be sound finish. Loop will be set to false because we only want to play that sound once. The next thing, we want to take our player to the next level. That's if there is a next level. Okay, if we're in level 4, that's the end of our game. We've got no more levels to go on to. Okay, so there's quite a bit of coding to put in to make this work properly. So first of all, we need to check if there's another room or another level to go to. So in the main 1 tab, the very last icon there, which is the right arrow inside that little polygon shape, right click on it, and it will say if next room exists. So that means if there is another level, then we want to go to it. So inside that square, hit the arrow pointing to the right. That's going to take us to our next level. If we're at level 4 though, we're at the end of the game. So in your control tab, you need to say what else we're going to do if we've got no more levels to go to. So basically how we're going to finish our game. There's 2 things we want to do. So we're going to do a block of events here. So start a block by hitting that up arrow. And in your main 2 tab, we want to display a message. So hit that speech bubble and just write, well done, you've completed the game. That's our little message we're going to display to our users. After that message is displayed and they know they've won the game, we're just going to close our game off by hitting that little red shutdown button. And then you can go back to the control tab and just right click on the down arrow to end that block of events. Okay, so all this code here is what happens when we hit the finish line. So when our man collides with the finish line, we play a sound to show we've hit the end of the level or the end of the game. Then we check to see if there's another level to go to. If there is, then we're going to go to that next level. If there is no more levels, then we're going to just display a message saying, well done, you've won the game. Then we're going to just close the game off. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. The other thing we had to do in this level 1 was collect the diamonds. So we're finished with Object Man for the minute. So click OK there and open up Object Diamond now. We're going to put some code onto it. We're going to add in an event on the diamond, and it's going to be a collision with the man. Okay, so when the diamond and the man collide, there's a few things we want to do here. The first one, in the main 1 tab, we're going to play a sound. The sound's going to be sound diamond. Loop will be set to false again because we just want to play it once. Once we play the sound of the diamond being collected, we're going to go down to our score tab and give ourselves some score. So hit the first bunch of yellow dots inside the grey square. Let's make diamonds worth 10 points, and we'll check relative so the score continues to add up from its previous score. After you've played the sound and set the score, we want the diamond to disappear. So in your main 1 tab, just destroy the instance of that diamond. So that little recycle bin there, just right click on it and click OK. So that's the 3 things needed to make the diamond disappear. I'm going to click on OK there. Just opening level 1 now. I'm pretty sure we've got all our code good. We can collect diamonds, we can hit the finish line to take us to the next level, and we can move. So level 1 is all sorted. What we need to do now is work out some of the coding for level 2. In level 2 we've already got the code for the diamonds. We do need to code up the coins. Okay, so let's do that now. So in your objects folder, look for object coin, open it up, and add in an event. The event you want is a collision with object man. It's almost the same code as what we did for the diamond actually. So when the coin and the man have a collision, in the main 1 tab, let's play a sound first of all. That sound's going to be sound coin. Loop will be false. Once you've played a sound, go to your score tab, choose the first bunch of yellow dots, give yourself a score. I might make the coins worth 25 points. They're a little bit harder to collect. Check relative so your score continues to add up, and click OK. Finally, you want the coin to disappear, so back in your main 1 tab, hit that little recycle bin and click OK. Okay, so that will give us the code to collect our coins, so you can click on OK. Looking back at level 2 now, we can collect the coins and the diamonds, which is good. We've got a little blue ghost here, and I want the blue ghosts to go up and down, and they'll just keep going up and down as they hit those walls there. So let's get this blue ghost working. Open up your object blue ghost, and you want him to move automatically, so we add in a create event. That means as soon as the ghost is created, you can give it some actions to make it do certain things. So what we want it to do is to move up and down. So let's press the red arrows here and tell it to move up and down. Now you can choose the speed for the blue one. You can have speed 4, which is the same speed as our player, or you might want to have it a little bit faster than your player, so maybe speed 5. That's what I'm going to do. Once you've got that, make sure up and down arrows are red, got your speed set, click OK. Alright, so that's got him moving. The other thing we need to add in is what happens when he hits a wall. If you look in level 2 here, the ghost is going to hit the grey wall and the red door. When he hits those objects, we want him to turn around and come back the other way. Okay, so there's 2 things we need to do here. We need to add an event for the ghost. It's going to be a collision, first of all, with the door. When the ghost hits the door, basically you want him to turn around and go the other way. So there's an option here in your Move tab. It's to reverse the vertical direction. And just put that in and click OK. We're going to do the same event for the wall. So open up, add event, make a collision event with the wall. So when our blue ghost collides with the grey wall, simply reverse his vertical direction. Okay. So that should be all looking good. Click OK. Looking back at level 2 now, our ghost is moving. The last thing here is this red door. We want that red door to disappear once we've collected all the diamonds. Okay, so what we're going to do is open up our object door. This is a bit of a tricky one. What we're going to do is add in a step event. We've got a series of steps that need to be performed before that door is going to open. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is go down to the Control tab. Look for this blue ball with the 1, 2, 3 written underneath it. Okay, it's called Test Instance Count. Just right click on that, and what we're going to do is count how many diamonds are on the screen. So the object that we want to count is the object diamond. We want that number to equal 0. That means that there's no more diamonds left on our screen. We've collected them all, and the operation equal to is fine. Okay, so when the amount of diamonds is equal to 0 on the screen, that's when we're ready to open the door. So I'm going to start a step of events here. So open up a start of a block. In the main 1 tab, we're going to play a sound of the door opening. So the sound you want is sound door. Loop will be false again. Once we've opened up the door, if you want to give yourself some points, you might as well reward your player for doing something good. So let's get, say, 50 points for opening up the door. Make sure you check relative. And once they've opened up the door, we also want to destroy that red door. Otherwise it's not going to disappear, so we better destroy and just leave it as self. Click OK. Alright, so in the control tab now you can close that block off. Just recap on that. So on the door here, we're going to be counting how many instances there are of the diamond on the screen. Once there are no more diamonds on the screen, so there'll be 0 diamonds, we perform these events. So we play the sound of the door opening, we give ourselves 50 points, and we destroy that red door so it disappears. If we click on OK now, I am going to test our game. Remember, it will take a little while just to compile this program because it is rather large and there's a lot going on. So just sit tight. Oh, that was pretty quick. Okay, so you can see our blue ghosts moving already on our splash screen, so they must be working. We'll press play. We can collect a few diamonds. I can hear through my headphones the sounds working. Can't see any score yet, but we're going to come back to the score panel a bit later. When we hit this finish line, we go through to the next level. Okay, so if we go through, we should be able to collect the coins. That's working. I just want to go and hit this blue ghost and see if I die. No, I don't. So we need to put some code in for that in a moment. I just want to check this red door, make sure it's working. Yep, so when we collect all those diamonds, the red door disappears. We can go through now and hit the finish line, and that will take us to level 3. Okay, so let's get this collision event with the player and the blue ghost first of all, and then we can start coding up level 3. So very quickly on Object Man, we're going to add in an event, and it's going to be a collision with the blue ghost. So when the man has a collision with the ghost, you want to play a sound in your main 1 tab first of all. It's going to be sound die. Loop will be set to false, so you just want to play it once. Okay. Once you play the sound die, you want to go down to the score here. We're going to set our lives to -1 and make it relative. That's going to make us lose a life. We haven't really done much with the score panel yet, but when we do, that is going to come in handy. And after we do die, we just basically want to restart the level. So in your main 2 tab, you've got these green arrows here. Restart the game. You can do that one if you want to. Actually, no, we don't want to do that one. We want to do in main 1, sorry. It's this little up arrow here. Restart the room. Okay, we don't want to restart the entire game, taking us back to the splash screen. We just want to go back to the start of the level. Okay. We can use these same pieces of code for the white ghost as well. So a quick way to do that is simply right click on Object Blue Ghost and say Duplicate Event. And what we're going to do is make a collision with the white ghost. Now when you collide with the white ghost, you've already got the action set. So he plays the sound of you dying, sets your lives to -1, and it will just restart that level. Okay, so let's click OK and have a look at level 3, see what we've got to code up in this one. We can already collect the diamonds, we can collect the coins, that'll open up the red door. So we need to code this trigger to blow up that boulder. We also need to get these white ghosts moving left and right. So let's do the ghosts first and then we'll do that trigger. So open up Object White Ghost and we're going to add an event in. It's going to be a create event. So as soon as the white ghost is created in our game, we want to tell it to move. So hit those red arrows. These ghosts are going to move left and right, and you can choose a speed. Remember, speed 4 is how fast your player moves. If you want the ghost to be able to catch your player, so it can move a bit quicker, set it to speed 5. Okay, I might set mine to speed 4 so it's the same speed as the player. Alright. Now we also need to tell the game what happens when this ghost hits the wall. It should reverse its direction and go back the other way. So if the white ghost has a collision with the wall, it simply reverses its horizontal direction this time. So we're hitting this first arrow and just click on OK. So that'll make it go left to right still. So click OK. That's our white ghost coded up. That was a pretty easy one. Now we've got the tricky part. Okay, we're going to have to code this little trigger. So when the man has a collision with the trigger, we want this boulder to disappear, and we want this bomb to blow up. Okay, so there's a few little bits and pieces we'll do here. So open up your object man to begin with. We're going to add in an event, and it's going to be a collision with the trigger. So there's a few things we need to do here when we hit that trigger. First thing, in your main 1 tab, we're going to destroy the trigger. So just hit the little recycle bin, and it's going to destroy object and choose the trigger. Click OK. So that'll just make our trigger disappear as soon as we hit it. So that means you can only really press it once. The other thing we want to destroy is the boulder. So let's destroy, choose object, and destroy the boulder. And click OK. So far, when our man hits the trigger will disappear, the boulder will disappear. Now you've also got a bomb. If we just have a look here, we've got a bomb here. We want this to turn into an explosion. Okay, so the way we do that is we hit this button here, change instance. Okay, so we right click on it, and we're going to choose object. What we're going to do is change the bomb, and we're going to change into the explosion. And perform events needs to be set to yes. And click OK. So basically when the man hits the trigger, you're going to change the bomb, so it's going to disappear off the screen, and instead the explosion is going to appear, so just like a bomb exploding. When that bomb does change into the explosion, you want the sound of the explosion to play, so let's add in the explosion sound. Loop will be set to false, you only want it to occur once. So that's looking pretty good. If we just test that, I'll show you a quick way to test level 3. What I'm going to do, just click OK on that. Level 3 is all the way down here. Instead of playing all these levels, what you can do is drag level 3 up to the top of your room list for the minute, and that will play that level first. So let's just play that level. We'll test out our code. So what we're looking for here is making sure that our little white ghosts are working. They should be moving left and right and bouncing off the walls. And I'll just minimize that for a minute. Whoops. So our white ghosts are working fine. What we do need to do is collect these diamonds. We need to collect these diamonds so we can see if this red door opens up. Yep, so the red door opens up fine. Now when I hit this trigger, there's a few things we're looking for. The trigger should disappear, the boulder should disappear, and that bomb there should turn into an explosion. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so it looks like everything's working. It's just that the explosion continues to play over and over again. Remember, this is an animated sprite. So we're going to have to code our game to play that animation once and then stop. So it won't keep going like it is now. And the way we do that is we go to our object explosion, and we need to add in an event, and it's going to be in the other events. It's called animation end. So once our animation is played through once and it's hit the end, all we need to do in the main 1 tab is destroy it. Okay, it's quite a simple one. So once the animation is played, destroy it, and we won't see it anymore after that. Click OK. So you can move level 3 now back down into its position just below level 2. That's our first 4 rooms all done. We're now up to level 4, which is the last room. We're just going to get it coded up. So we've got a few things here. We need to code up the purple gems. We need to be able to collect them and get some good points for them. They are the hardest ones to get, so we want to really make them worth some good points. We've got a teleport, and we've got a lock and key here that we need to code, and also a little bad guy that has the ability to chase us. Okay, so let's start with the purple gems first of all, because they're easy. But before we do code that gem, there is one thing I forgot to do earlier in the video, and that was bring in a sound. When we collect the gem, we want to actually have a sound. So quickly just load in a sound for the gem. It should be in your resources folder. There it is there. It's called gem. I'll just give it the name snd_gem. Okay, sorry about that, that was my mistake. We should have the sound for the gem in our sounds file. Then we can code up object gem. Okay, so what we're going to do is add in a collision event between the man and the gem. First thing we'll do in the main 1 tab is play that sound of the gem being collected. Loop will be false like always. After that we're going to set ourselves a score. Now gems are hard to collect, so give yourself a good score for that one. 100 points sounds good. Make sure you check relative so the score continues to add up. And the last thing we want is the gem to disappear, so just destroy the instance of the gem. So click OK. So that's going to have our purple gems being collected all well and good, so click OK. The next thing that we want to code up, if we just look back at level 4 here, we want to code these teleports up. Now when we run into this teleport down the bottom, we just want to be transferred up to the top of the game and be sitting next to the teleport at the top. When we hit this teleport at the top, we want the reverse to happen, so we want to move down into this empty spot at the bottom of our game. Now because these are the same object, we're going to have a bit of an issue when we put the code on one. Okay, so if I put the code on this teleport here, the same code is going to be on this teleport up here, so we're not going to be able to move our player to where we want for both of these teleports. So we're going to need 2 separate objects. So what I'm going to do is just click on the objects here and I'm going to delete those 2 teleports from my game. Just hit the tick for a moment. What we're going to do is open up Object Teleport and give it the name Object Teleport Entry. Click OK. Then right click on it and duplicate it. And this one will be called obj underscore teleport exit. And click OK. So what we've got now is 2 objects. They're different objects, but they've got the same sprite. So they'll look the same, but they will do 2 different things. Okay, so the first one, let's go back to level 4 for a minute. Let's put our object entry, or teleport entry, down the bottom. Then we're going to go back to our objects and put object teleport exit up the top. So it looks the same as before, but we've actually got 2 different objects in our game now. So when we hit this entry point, what we want to do is move up to this spot just beside the top teleport. So if you look at your X and Y values, and when I hover over that square at the top here, you can see it's 480 by 32. So the X value is 480, the Y value is 32. We're going to tell our game to move our player to that position when we collide with the entry point of the teleport. Okay, so open up your object man, add in a collision event with the teleport entry. When you run into that first teleport, you want to move up to the top position, and you do that by hitting this jump to position button, this little arrow pointing to the blue dot. Now the X value we said was 480, the Y value we said was 32. Click OK, and that's all you need. So when he hits that first teleport, it will move into that top position. Now when we hit this other teleport, so the exit teleport, we want to appear down the bottom here. And I can see my X value is 64, my Y value is 416. So let's quickly code that now. So still on object man, we're going to add in a new event. It'll be a collision with teleport exit. So when we hit the other teleport, we want to jump to a position back at the bottom of the page. So it was 64 for the X, 416 for the Y. Click OK. Okay, so that jumps our player to that position at the bottom of the page. Click OK. That should have our teleports working. To test that, you want to move level 4 up to the top of your rooms list, so level 4 is on top. Press the green play button. Let GameMaker just do its thing with the compile. It will just take, hopefully no more than 30 seconds. Up comes your game, and it should start with level 4. What we want to test is the teleport. We want to hit this one here and hopefully appear at the top. Let's have a look. Yep, that's working. When we hit this one now at the top, let's see if we move down to this position at the bottom. Yep, so our teleport is working fine. The other thing we had to test was our purple gems, and they're working fine as well. Okay, so the other thing we're going to get going is this lock and key and our little bad guy at the top here. Okay, so let's get the lock and key working first of all. So pop on over to your object lock and open it up. Now this is a bit like the door opening up when we collect all the diamonds. Basically the lock's going to open up when we collect all the keys. Now let's just see if we've got a sound to use for this one. We don't, so we might use sound door to open this one up. So let's add in an event. We're going to use the step event for this one. Now, first thing I'm going to do is go to the Control tab and just count how many instances of the key are on the page. So let's choose for the object, the key. We want that equal to 0. So leave the number 0, the operation equal to. So basically that's saying when there are no more keys left on the screen, we'll perform the following actions. So first of all, we're going to start a block of events. First thing I'm going to do is play a sound of the lock opening. Now we don't have a specific sound for the lock, so we'll just use the same one as the door. So that sounds like the door's opening. We'll give ourselves a score. So hit that first bunch of yellow dots and say about 75. That sounds good to me. Make sure you check relative as well. And we also want to go to the main one here and destroy the lock. So just click on OK. Once you've done those three things, back in the Control tab, just hit that down arrow to close your block of events off. So that's just saying, in the step event there, we're going to count until we get no more keys on the page. When all the keys have been collected, we play the sound of the door disappearing. We give ourselves 75 points and then we destroy that lock. Click OK. Next thing we want to do on the object key, so open up object key, you want to add an event there and a collision event with the man. So when the man and the key have a collision, basically you want to destroy the key, so just destroy itself. Okay, you don't need to play a sound or give it any points because that's all happening when the lock opens up, which is going to happen at the same time. Okay, so just click OK on that one. So let's have a look at level 4 and make sure we've got that covered. So when we hit the key, it should disappear, and that will mean there's no more keys on the page, so that will destroy the lock. That should be all good. So let's get this little bad guy working now. For the bad guy, please open up object bad guy. Now what we're going to have to do here is a bit of coding. And if you look in your resources folder, there's a text document called Chasing Enemies Code, and if you open it up, the code's been written for you. It says put the following inside a step event on the bad guy. So I'm going to highlight those two lines of code and just copy them. And back in GameMaker, we're going to put in a step event. Now for the actions, you need to go over to your Control tab and select this first little notepad. It's called Execute Code. And it lets you write some code. I'm simply going to paste in that code. And all it's saying is basically follow object man. Okay, it's going to look at its X coordinate and its Y coordinate and start following it. Okay, so that's an easy one. Just click on OK. Now, this might take me a little while, but we're going to play level 4 here and just give it a test run, and we'll see if we've got everything working. Okay, fingers crossed we have, but I'm sure there's one or two little bits we may have missed that we have to come back to and fix up. Okay, so you can see the bad guy is moving through, chasing me. I can die when I hit the white ghosts. So basically I want to collect all these coins. Okay, so far the bad guy can't kill me when we have a collision, so that's some code we're going to have to add in. You can see the bad guy can run through the walls as well, which we don't want to happen, so we're going to have to fix that issue as well. Okay, this could take a while, so we might do the coding first of all. Okay, so on the object bad guy, just add an event, collision with the wall. If he hits the wall, just tell him to stop moving. Okay, so that's a simple one. what else shouldn't he be able to run through? Maybe the red door, he shouldn't be able to run through that. So if he has a collision with the red door, tell him to stop moving. And have a collision with the boulder, he can stop moving. And one last one, a collision with the lock, he can stop moving as well. Okay, so that should get him stopping at each of those solid objects. We also need a collision between the man and the bad guy. So the collision between the man and the bad guy, when they have a collision, basically it's the same as the ghosts. So you can actually copy these events from the ghosts up on the bad guy, paste them in. So it'll play the sound of him dying, lose a life, and you just restart the room. Let's just quickly test that again. I'm not going to play the whole level. I just want to see if that bad guy is working a bit better. Okay, so hopefully he can't run through the walls. That's better. So if we move, he doesn't move until we go to certain places. Okay, hopefully I don't... Oh, I did die there. Okay, so I might even move him down into a position down here so he has a bit of a head start and he can actually come and get us a bit easier. So in my level 4 here, I'm just going to delete him from up there. And for the bag, I might move him into the middle here. That way he can come and find us a little bit easier and he won't have to navigate through those walls. Okay. What I am going to do very quickly is just test this lock and key. I'm just going to delete the key from over there. Actually, I'll leave the key there. I'm going to move my man. I'm just going to start him over here just for a test to make sure I can collect the key and get through to the end. Let's have a look. Okay. So that works fine. You can see when my little man hits the boulder there, he just runs straight through it. So what we need to do, back on Object Man here, is put in a collision with the boulder. Make sure he can't run through it. So we just need to check the grid in the Control tab, make sure it's 32 by 32, and tell him to stop moving. Same should happen when he hits the gold lock as well. Collision with the lock, put the 32 by 32 grid in, tell him to stop moving. Alright, I think we're going to do the same for the red door, so add in an event, a collision with the red door, 32 by 32 grid in, and tell him to stop moving. Okay, so now when our bad guy hits those solid objects, so the boulder, the door and the lock, he won't be able to walk through and just help himself to the finish line. He actually has to earn it. Alrighty, so that's looking pretty good. Fingers crossed our game is complete now. So I'm going to delete my little man from there and just move him back to his start position. I'm not going to test this game now. I do know that everything's working just from looking at the code. So hopefully yours will work too. If I just hit the tick, I do want to test one last thing. Sorry, I just want to make sure that that bad guy, when he hits me, we do restart the level. Okay, so he does chase us, that little green guy. And when he hits us, we do die. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm going to stop the video there now. That's looking pretty good. The last thing we're going to add in is a score panel with some lives, and that's going to go across the bottom of our page down here. We're going to extend our room to fit that in. Okay, so we'll just move level 4 back down the bottom below level 3. I'll stop the video and I'll see you in the last part of the tutorial for the score panel.